This episode of Pucks Across Borders regular season finale edition is brought to you by First Round Collectibles. As always, they have any sports cards you could be looking for: hockey, boxing, football. Saw golf on there today. Anything that you're looking for, they'll probably have. So, First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back.
Welcome back to Pucks Across Borders. It's the last day of the regular season, John. We have made it all 6 games today, or all 12 teams playing. We'll wrap it up tonight. How you doing today, man?
Doing all right, man. Can't complain. Getting very close to playoff hockey now. Just gotta dot a few I's and cross a few T's.
Absolutely. Um, is there anything special you want to say about this season, at least the regular season portion, before we proceed?
Uh, I think it's gonna be part of my takeaway, so I'll save it for that.
That indeed. Yesterday was pretty wacky. Today had some big news too, so let's get it off the bat. Jeff Carter, Pittsburgh Penguins, retired officially last night. William Nylander in that Toronto Tampa game straight up didn't play a puck. It was off a high stick, whatever. He could have got a stoppage. Just casually skated by it, stretched past by the Lightning, led to a breakaway goal. That was pretty weird. Jake Ottinger in overtime. Was it in overtime? I don't even remember at this point. He made a stick save without even trying. Just, wide open net for the Blues. He just kind of turned around, stuck his stick out, whatever. Happened to make the save. Didn't really care because you know what? It was game 82. It didn't even matter. That's kind of what's been going on all week. There's a lot of low effort plays. Guys just staying healthy, trying to make it to the playoffs. Not the best product on the ice. Last night did solidify one more playoff matchup, though: Canucks versus Predators in the first round. All that's left is that 3 spot in the Pacific, which will set the 2-3 in the Pacific, and then the Stars against the last wild card. That would be either Vegas or LA. But, John, what is your takeaway?
Uh, my takeaway, probably the most relevant thing that happened last night, the end of the Arizona Coyotes. uh, They played their last game of the season, and also pretty much their last game in Arizona because it looks like the Coyotes are heading to Salt Lake City for a move, and unfortunately, uh, it looks like it's the end of hockey in Arizona after I want to say nearly 30 years of trying to make it work in the Phoenix area. It was one of the largest markets in the United States, but unfortunately, just hockey just doesn't always work everywhere. I think it was one of those situations that snowballed, and the NHL tried to keep this on life support for at least the last 5 years or so. Probably should have happened some years ago. I guess another city's finally ready to step up. There's going to be questions about if Salt Lake City can even handle it because they're supposed to play in the Jazz's arena, but nobody's sure how good that's going to be for hockey either. So, uh, well, this is just the start anyway. My point being, kind of a sad day for a market to lose a team. It's not the only big market we've seen lose a hockey team. Atlanta also failed to make it work despite being a pretty good sports town overall. So I guess it's just one of those things where it had to happen, but it's unfortunate they couldn't find an alternative solution.
Yeah, it really sucks. They tried the ownership in Arizona. All three iterations of it since they've been there was god awful, and it was an emotional night in Tempe. People were crying. The team, the players, whatever, all took a big picture. Uh, Employees were on the ice before the game. They signed hats, passed them out to fans. Hockey meant something to Arizona. It maybe didn't work the way Bettman or once wanted it to. It may not have been the most profitable, most successful, whatever, but people cared. It got hockey into that market as far as like youth hockey, the interest there. So the fact that it hurt people that they're leaving means that to some point there was a success. And going to Salt Lake City, that sucks. There were Salt Lake City sucks chants in Tempe last night in Mullet Arena, but I mean Salt Lake City now has will now have two teams. They have the Jazz, who they go crazy over. They deserve credit for being a not rabid, but a passionate fan base for the team that they do have. I think that the NHL is hoping that will translate to hockey. Kind of, we were talking about this earlier in the season, like months ago, but Arizona's location compared to the rest of the NHL was also kind of wonky, especially in that Central Division. Salt Lake City may be a little tighter. I think they're slightly closer to Denver, so might tighten things up there. But it does suck that the Yotes are going to be gone after all those years. And they do have history. They have players, names, whatever worth celebrating that will be remembered. The logo and uniforms were special. So heavy night. Uh, the Yotes touched a lot of people. So seeing them go isn't easy. My takeaway, not as important in the grand scheme of things, but Lightning, Maple Leafs, two milestones on the line for both teams. The home team got their guy, his milestone. Kucherov got his 100th point. It was He was the fifth player ever to do it, I believe. So huge achievement. It's not something that happens often very clearly. And Kucherov, special player, kind of put that offense on his back. Might be the Hart Trophy because of just his insane productive year. Austin Matthews did not get 70 goals though. 12 shots, so not for a lack of effort. Just couldn't find one to break through. He almost had one on a nasty move. Uh, he like kind of fell, twirled around, but kept track of the puck, fired it high. It beat the goalie. It just clanked off the bar. So Matthews, he couldn't get 70. 69 is still a phenomenal season. There's nothing to be ashamed about. But in a game that otherwise didn't have much effort, freaking Ryan Reeves scored a goal for the Maple Leafs. One guy was able to get it done, the other wasn't. So that was kind of my takeaway. The Eastern Conference done. No more teams left to play. 6 games, all Western Conference battles, though. First up at 7 o'clock, kind of early for this team, definitely early for the visiting team. The Seattle Kraken taking on the Minnesota Wild. Not a game that means much for either team. John, I will let you get started. What do you see here? What are you taking?
I feel like today's a hard day to pick because there's really only two games that mean anything of these six. But this is one of them where you don't really have a team resting. You have a team playing. You have teams playing for pride or incentives. Um, I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards taking the wild 60-minute line here. I think their offensive firepower is a little better. They might want to. They might be a little more motivated to get a win at home to close out the year. I just don't think Seattle's capable of scoring that many goals, despite their decent goaltending. Um, the total kind of scares me. I could see that going either way. So I think the Wild pull it out. I just don't quite trust the puck line. So give me the 60-minute line here.
Fair enough. It's like Yeah, what are these teams playing for? Really, you don't know how motivated some of these guys are going to be. I will say for the Wild, they just extended Marc Andre Fleury. We talked about that, and they have a 4 game winning streak against the Kraken. This year, they beat them 5-2 and 3-0. Last season, they beat them 5-1 and 1-0. Three of those games were in Seattle, of the four. And if you notice from that stretch, Seattle's not scoring in those games. That's a theme with the Kraken, especially this year, something that Minnesota's taken advantage of. And the Wild, they have a productive offense, especially when they're healthy. Um, Seattle, if they're not going to score, just write them off. It's kind of how I feel about it. I think the Wild, especially at home, I think they take this one pretty comfortably. So I'm going to take that puck line at -1.5. And then I'm going to take the under 6, mostly because I don't see Seattle scoring more than 2 goals in this game. Just maybe like a 4-1, 3-1 win for the Wild is kind of how I see it. And that's where I'm at with things, especially, I feel like the Wild have been giving more effort down the stretch, even after getting eliminated. Like their coach, those players, I feel like they're going for it. So that's where I'm at with it. Now, moving on to a potential playoff preview. And the last time we'll see Vancouver at plus money before the playoffs begin. The Canucks are in Winnipeg, a little clash of Canadian playoff teams. Plus 110 dogs. It's 8 o'clock start, over under 5.5. The goalies for this game, they have Brossoit, excuse me, starting for the Jets. Vancouver hasn't announced yet. John, let you go first again. What do you see in this one?
Hard game to pick because it really means nothing for either team. But I'm gonna go with the Vancouver plus money just because it hasn't failed me all year. I don't really have much other reason than that. It's hard to go too statistical in this game because I don't know how many minutes some of the big guys will get on each side because this is a this is a game where both teams are locked into their positions. I think it's very hard to judge it how you normally would. It's kind of a coin flip. This would not be the first game I would bet today by any means, but if I had to pick a side, Vancouver plus money rarely fails.
Can't argue with that. Um, for these last games, I don't know if anyone's noticed during the week, taking the over, especially for these playoff teams that aren't really trying, they're just trying to stay healthy, seems to be the better play. Uh, the effort from the skaters isn't always there. They're having their backup goalies in, third stringers sometimes. So, especially a game like this, it's 5.5. I know it's -118, so a little bit extra juice, but I think the over is a fantastic play. We're going to see that in the later game. I think the same thing. We saw it yesterday with Toronto and Tampa, where neither side was really trying to play defense get stopped. So matchups like this late in the season, it's about staying healthy for teams like this. I will say I'm gonna side with the Jets because I think Brossoit is better than. I don't even know who Vancouver's gonna start. I'm gonna assume it's not Demko, and Brossoit's better than Casey DeSmith or Seelovs or whoever draws this one for the Canucks. And the Jets are at home. So I'm going to side with the Jets. I'm going to take that 60-minute line. I don't think either side wants overtime. We might see a Philly situation where they just pull the net at the end of the game for fun in a tie one. So I'm going to roll Jets 60-minute line, and I'm going to take the over. And we're going to stay in Canada. So the Sharks taking on the Flames. Last game for the ever beloved San Jose Sharks. They are -115 on their puck line at +1.5. So pretty good odds for that. The over is 6 at -125. The under is +105. I'll let you get started from the Saddle Dome. What do you have in this one? And why are you going to take your beloved Sharks for the last time?
I'm not going to, but um, Man, this has been a long season for the Sharks. I think Shark fans are probably going to be happy once Game 82 is in the books. Definitely one to write off and forget. Um, I this type of matchup, I I've been doing this a lot lately, but I'm going to go back to it one more time. The under for Sharks Calgary, I like that a lot. In this one, the Sharks, I believe they have the second fewest goals scored per game in the NHL, and Calgary not much better. Um, they average just over 3 goals a game. I and when the Sharks stay competitive, they either it's usually in a low scoring affair. I can't see, I'll have a hard time seeing more than 6 goals get put up combined between these two teams. So I think the under is a pretty solid bet. Unfortunately, the Sharks are just so bad. I don't even trust them on the puck line as much as I want to take that.
Yeah, I mean, we tracked this season very closely, maybe a little unhealthily closely, and the Sharks were really bad. They lost their last game 9-2 against the Oilers. They lost the game before that 6-2 at home against the Wild. However, they played Calgary on April 9th. They lost the game, but they lost in overtime 3-2. Uh, I feel like San Jose is one of those teams where all season long it's been about pride. They have put their best foot forward even when they didn't need to. And I think that plays well against this Calgary team tonight. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they're going to keep it tight again. I see this one maybe going to overtime again. Who knows? But I think the Sharks end with a bang. So I'm going to take that +1.5. Like the sucker I am. I feel like this Sharks team has fight, but I'm with you on the under, especially at +105. I think under 6 is a really good play in this one. So we at least agree there. However, I'm taking the over in this one. Edmonton taking on Colorado. Two playoff teams, two teams locked into their seed. Edmonton's second in the Pacific. Colorado Avalanche third in the Central. Edmonton doesn't know who they're playing yet. They do know that they're flying back home regardless. Colorado knows that they're flying to Winnipeg. After this one, uh, two elite offenses going head to head, or top five in scoring. Last time they met, April 5th, was a 6-2 game in Edmonton. The Oilers won that one. Last year, they met in the playoffs. No, that was not last year. That was 2 years ago. I was going to say all those games were pretty high scoring, but that was not last year. So I'm going to just rewind on that a little bit. I'm still taking the over, though. Low effort from the goalies, the skaters, whatever. It's just going to be a lot of stretch passes, looking for offense, trying not to get hurt. Type of things we've seen from playoff teams lately. I think the Avalanche, who have their last 6 games gone over the total, I think they need to put on a decent performance here. They've kind of been struggling lately. So I think they're going to pull out the win. I think they're going to win by multiple goals. I'm going to take that -1.5 at +136. But the over 6.5, probably a lock here. I can't imagine that there's going to be anything crazy effort-wise between the goalies, the defenders, or the forwards trying to stop opposing offenses. So, John, what do you have in this?
I agree. I would also take the over in this game. This is another game that doesn't quite matter, but even if some of the top players do end up playing limited minutes here, I still think both of these teams have the depth on offense to put up some goals. And I'll also add that I don't feel like these are two top three offenses in the league, first of all. Second of all, I don't feel like either team's going to bring out their starting goalie today. I haven't quite looked at the goaltenders there, but I would be surprised if either their regular guys ends up behind the net tonight. Um, I think that would also add to the argument that there will be more goals in this game. I think it's the highest over under on the board for today as well, so that should be somewhat notable. And I trust these offenses enough to do their thing, even if it doesn't come from a guy like, let's just say, McDavid, for example. So Give me the over 6.5 as well. I'm on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who do you? One thing we didn't really talk about: McDavid and McKinnon, both in that heart contention. Uh, both, last chance to put on a show here. Looking at their point props, would you be interested in either of those?
Ah, that's a good question because individually they have something to play for stats, but like I'm wondering if what the team goal would come first here, which I think it would. So uh, I might lean towards no.
Okay. I was gonna say both of them are over 1.5 points. Neither one is plus money. McDavid over 1.5 assists is plus 180 though. You can get a McKinnon power play point for plus 105. Those are just some interesting ones I saw. If they're trying to keep up, catch up, take away the heart from Kucherov. At least that's how I see it right now. I know McKinnon's the odds on favorite still, but yeah, just thought I'd dangle that out there. That is an intriguing subplot in a game that otherwise means absolutely nothing besides just pure talent on the ice. But the last two games mean something. We talked about how Vegas and LA both have a shot at that third spot in the Pacific. The only two matchups not set are Stars versus that last wild card and Oilers versus three in the division. The Golden Knights currently 98 points, uh, 34 regulation wins. Entering this one, the Kings 97 points, 37 regulation wins. So if the Kings need 2 points tonight, or the Kings actually need 1 point. The Kings need to match or overtake the Golden Knights in points to climb into that three spot. Vegas, if they get 2 points, they obviously win. If they get 1 point or no points, they leave the door open to falling into that last wildcard spot. So we will start with Vegas, who is at home taking on the Anaheim Ducks. They are massive favorites, unsurprisingly. Uh, minus 1.5 for them, minus 148, plus 1.5 for the Ducks, plus 124. The over under is set at 6. That over is minus 118. John, do you think Vegas does what they need to do?
I'm gonna say yes. I think Vegas will get it done tonight. Um, it would certainly be an interesting matchup if they go on to play the Oilers, but I got. I mean, I think Vegas will win the game outright. The real question is by how much? Because I mean, looking at this puck line, oh man, is anything like worth this here? Because I think you'd have to take him at 2.5 just to get decent odds on Vegas. I don't know if Vegas is going to win by quite that much. This is where I'm getting concerned about it. Um, wouldn't be betting. I mean, if we're talking straight up, I think Vegas will get it done, and I think they'll get the three spot in the Pacific. I think the better question here is finding the right angle to bet because the Ducks have been a little feisty despite their poor record lately. So I think given the importance of this game for Vegas, I'm gonna say maybe the under 6 might be a better bet because I think they're gonna try to limit any opportunities the Ducks have. And I don't know how much Anaheim's not a very high scoring team as is. And I don't know. I could just see this being like a 3-1, 4-2 type of game, something like that. So I might lean towards the under here more just because of how ridiculous the money line and puck line odds are.
I got you. I got you. I'm kind of tempted by that Ducks money line, honestly, at plus 310. They in this I know it was 2023, but in December they beat Vegas 5-2. In November they beat them 4-2. Um, they've had success against them this season, despite all the struggles. I know the Golden Knights have a 3 game winning streak, but they only beat the Blackhawks 3-1. And Chicago was only trailing by a goal in those final 4 minutes, 3 minutes. Didn't quite put them away the way you should put away a Blackhawks team right now, especially in desperation mode. 4-3 win over Colorado in OT, but Colorado's been struggling a lot lately. I don't know who that says more about. 7-2 win over the Wild, that was pretty good. Those were all at home, their last three. The three before that, though, three losses. They gave up 16 total goals in those three games, one of which was to the Arizona Coyotes, the worst of them, a 7-4 defeat in Tempe. Uh, Vegas, they're getting the points. I'm not sure if they're dominating anyone the way they should right now. And this Ducks team has played them well this season. How this Ducks team can kind of stick it to them and give them, you know, a tougher path through the postseason. They'd get the Stars, or they get the Central path, which would be Stars, then Avs or Jets, if they were to get through Dallas. So I'm actually last day of the season going to take that plus 310 risk. I'm going to roll with the Ducks to stick it to Vegas. And I'm going to take the over because if the Ducks are going to win this game, it's going to be because they score like 4 goals, 5 goals, whatever. And I can't see Vegas not scoring at least twice. Like Vegas is going to put up a fight even if they lose. So I'm going to take that over and I'm going to roll with the upset. Still, the question after that would be, do the Kings pick up a point? They're taking on your favorite team, the way to close the season, the Chicago Blackhawks in LA, a building you've been to this season. You went to the Kings game against your Devils in crypto.com. People forget that. Over under 6 for this one. The puck line for the Kings minus 135, plus 114 for Chicago. Looking at how they've, performed against each other this season. I guess not performed against each other because March 15th, Kings won in United Center 5-0. March 19th, Kings won at home 6-2 over these Blackhawks. Final meeting, does Chicago put up a fight? Yes or no? John, floor is yours.
Given the importance of this game, I'm going to say no. And I think I'm facing a similar dilemma as the Vegas game where the odds are not quite good enough to pick a side, where I would definitely lean Kings, but like I just don't know if it'll be by more than 2 goals. Because again, I feel like I'd have to take 2.5 if I'm backing the Kings. Um, I do think that I do think the Kings will win the game, and I'm gonna do the same exact thing here. Kings, one of the best goaltending teams in the NHL. Blackhawks, the worst scoring team in the NHL. I'm gonna I'm gonna go towards the under. I think the Kings will shut this team down. They'll want these points bad, especially if they see that Vegas is losing their game. I don't know how much the Kings really care about position, but I think it would be a momentum boost for sure if they were to jump up a spot in the standings on the last day of the year heading into the playoffs. And I don't think the Kings will want to get their chances of that ruined by a team like the Blackhawks. So I'm going to expect this to be a shutdown game on the Kings side. I also don't see them putting up 5 or more goals again this time. I mean, they've done it twice, as you mentioned already. I think it's hard to ask for that to happen a third time. So I'm expecting a lower scoring game this time around. Give me the under.
No, John. I'm just gonna throw this out the way now. I think the Kings minus 2.5. It's plus 125 right now. I think that's a great bet. However, I was looking at the puck lines, right? The alternate puck lines. So Kings minus 2.5 is an option. Kings minus 3.5 is an option. Minus 4.5 is not. Minus 5.5 is not. You can get Los Angeles Kings minus 6.5 from DraftKings at plus 2,000 right now. So if you think the Kings are going to win by 7 goals, there is an option for you. And I promise you, to all 19 of you watching, I am not making that up. Kings minus 6.5 plus 2,000. I almost want to do it just because it's an option, but obviously they're not going to win by 7 goals. Even, well, let me not say obviously, it's possible, but this Kings team's probably not going to score 7 goals, let alone win by 7 goals. I do think they'll score at least 4. This Chicago team is terrible on the road. they're the worst offense in the league. They have been all season. Against this Kings team, I don't see them scoring multiple goals. So I do think -2.5 is the play here, even if, like you said, LA only scores 3. I can see a 3-0 win very easily for them. But under is kind of dicey because I just do think the Kings are going to score 5 again. Honestly, this Blackhawks team is really bad. I will say Blackhawks under 1.5 team goals is +140. I do like that. But my favorite bet from this one is Kings -2.5, not -6.5. Don't get it twisted, even though that is an option.
Take the plus money. Take the take the minor plus money, not the major plus money.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I want to bet it just because it's there. Like,
I've never thought about looking for it, put it that way, but I think it's definitely a curious thing considering the last 2 games they've played.
yeah, seriously. Um, so that's it for the NHL season. Last game, your Blackhawks. I say that in jest. I know they've been a thorn in your side all season. Before we get the
Last
best
game.
bets, I want to give a shout out to Charles. He commented, Total Apex Sports Network, how's everyone doing today? He smashed the like button, gave us a weather update from the Bahamas, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, expected low of 68 degrees. Charles, we appreciate you for commenting. We appreciate your viewership. And then Big Ten Gabriel, that little rascal, he said he views this broadcast as powerful. So, Gabe, thank you for the comment. Thank you for the love. To everyone else, feel free to comment. Please like, subscribe, retweet, all of that. We will be back for the playoffs. We will be back for every playoff game. So don't think we're going anywhere. Season's just getting started. This is where we get the real stakes again. But for now, it is best bets time. For the final time this year, best bets brought to you by First Round Collectibles. They have almost any card you want. Sports cards for sports fans, boxing, golf, hockey, football, basketball, you name it. You will probably find it. John, best bet. Floor is yours.
Oh man, let's wrap up the regular season with a bang here. Uh, I chose a lot of totals for today. I've noticed that. So I think it's only fitting I go with one of them as a best bet. Um, that Oilers Avalanche total was really catching my eye. It was the highest one on the board. Got 2 top 3 offenses going at it. And like I said, I'd be surprised if either starting goaltender ends up behind the net tonight. So I think there's a possibility. And you talked about the potential for McDavid and McKinnon to maybe pad stats too. So if that happens as well, I think the over 6.5 is something really, really tempting from the board.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially this time of year, it feels like the totals are the much safer, more reliable option, especially the over when these teams are just trying to stay healthy, not blocking shots and fighting for pucks the way they usually do. To that point, I really do like the over in Canucks Jets. It's only at 5.5, so you need 6 total goals for it to hit. Uh, Obviously, the Jets have Brossoit in net. He's a good goalie, but he's not Connor Hellebuyck. Demko probably not starting for the Canucks. They've had their issues stopping pucks lately. But you know what that offense is. And the Jets offense, to its credit, has been alive lately. However, I'm going to go back to the last game. I'm going to take the cursed bet that bit you so many times this year. Kings -2.5 over the Blackhawks. Chicago is terrible. Terrible on the road. The Kings have owned them all season. The Kings defense, goaltending, going to absolutely shut down that offense. Even Bedard, Khrushchev, Seth Jones, the quietly productive trio they've been lately. And the Kings, I think they only need 3 or 4 goals to make that happen. I don't see the Blackhawks scoring more than 1 in this game if they even score. Kings are at home. Kings fighting for 3rd in the Pacific rather than that last wildcard spot. That last seed in the Western Conference period, the only shot they'd have at home ice would be a Stanley Cup final against the Islanders or the Capitals. So Kings, I think that extra little bit of seeding at home, team they've owned this year, team that can shut out the offense with their eyes closed. Give me that -2.5 at +125. Your over in Denver between the Oilers and the Avalanche was -122. Parlay those together, you get a +309. I'm going to add Canucks Jets to that because I'm going to pretend I'm Mark right now. And that 3-leg parlay is +656. John, great season, man. You've come a long way.
It's been a hell of a season. I mean, we almost started from the very beginning of this year. We weren't that much into the year when we started doing this show. So definitely a little sentimental that this regular season's coming to an end. But like Andre said, we're not done yet. We got plenty of playoff content for you guys.
Yes, sir. To everyone watching, we appreciate it, all 22 of you. We hope you enjoy your Thursday. Follow our bets, make some money, and come back for the playoffs. They start Saturday. We are very excited for that. Gabe and Charles, I see you in the comments having a great discussion. Again, we appreciate it. Um, Charles, I'm so jealous that you're in the Bahamas and by the ocean right now. But that's not important. We appreciate your viewership. We appreciate the likes, subscribe, retweet, share it everywhere. We hope to see you tomorrow. We will be back discussing the playoffs. Mark should be back. Um, John, you can follow his work at Gridiron Heroics. I forgot to mention that earlier. Always pumping out great football content. You probably see me later on Total Apex Sports talking about NBA and just getting fired up in general. We like to get fired up over there. But for me and John, that's all we have for today. We will talk to you. We are out.
Give me my respect, collecting every debt. Oh, the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what she used to.